I'm a Jedi. I'm gonna get into it now.
You may wonder why I have brought you here.
So, Vader Immortal VR Episode 1. Now, typically I would have just reviewed all of them together, but since on the PlayStation Store, these are 3 separate downloads. Episode 1, 2, and 3. Fingers aren't working today. But yeah, so I was all excited for this because one of the things I kind of wanted to see on PlayStation VR was the ability to swing around a lightsaber in VR. And it wasn't looking like that for the longest time, except for maybe Beat Saber, which I don't see that as a Star Wars game. A lot of people said, oh yeah, there's a lightsaber game, it's called Beat Saber. No. But then they announced that this was coming to PlayStation VR, and I was just thinking, like, how? Not upset, just how? But they did it. It's a tad buggy, but they did it. Yeah, so yes, this game is very, very buggy. Alright? Not buggy unplayable, but buggy could have used a little bit more work. So in terms of like game-breaking glitches, I was handed an item towards the end of the first episode, and it's just like glitching in my hand. Okay, that was really the only one. But in terms of glitchy, you use 2 DualShock remotes in this game. Okay, the old classic PS3. These. You use 2 of these, okay, in the game. And in the game, instead of your hands being like this, where they move around and whatnot, they're like this. And they glitch all the time. I mean, like, that. All the time. Okay. There are times I'm just doing one action with one hand, and this hand just shows up right over here. Can't explain it. And I'm playing this on the PlayStation 5, mind you. So, could be an issue with the PS5 through backwards compatibility. Could be an issue that was on the PlayStation 4. I don't know. So, yeah, I felt that sometimes that what's that medical condition where your 2 small fingers are constantly contorted? Kind of felt like my character had that a few times in the game. And yeah, so the game could use a little bit more polish, and yes, it was a little unusual that you couldn't actually free walk. It's teleportation only. You can only teleport to places. So, unfortunate, not a deal breaker for me. Because when you're doing your lightsaber, whatever, you're typically standing still. And so it's just one less thing you have to worry about. Okay, I can't move, so I might as well stand my ground. Another odd thing was typically I play PlayStation VR on the lowest brightest setting in the headset. Because, keep in mind, you have a TV screen right up against your eyes. Okay? So, if you have that on the brightest setting, you're going to need glasses in like a week. Alright? So, to try and save your eyes, you want to keep the brightness down as low as humanly possible. And for most VR games, that works like a charm. Okay? Game's not too dim, and you save your eyes a little bit. Not with this game. Vader Immortal? This thing was like pitch black dark. Okay? I had to turn up the brightness just to be able to see what was going on around me, and it helped. It's like, oh, that's Darth Vader. Did not see that. Speaking of Darth Vader, I had no idea that he was that big. In the movies, he's like 12 inches on the screen, you know. And I've even seen like Vader costumes at comic book conventions, and it's an average sized guy. But no, in this game it actually depicts what George Lucas wanted Vader to actually be like, and he's quite intimidating. He really is. I mean, he's just like, I had no idea you were that tall and wide. No, they did a good job on Vader in this game. I mean, very intimidating, and I even like the scene. It's not really a spoiler where, he sounds like James Earl Jones, and then he takes off the helmet and he sounds like Hayden Christensen, the kid that played the younger Darth Vader before he got the suit. It's like, oh, that's kind of interesting. But, yeah, no, the size was impressive of some of the characters and locations. Seeing a Stormtrooper right up in your face, awesome. Seeing a giant temple off in the distance, and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger as you're getting closer to, awesome. Length of this game, are awesome. If you take your time, you might be able to get 2 hours out of this episode. Maybe. Probably an hour if you rush through stuff. Which is unfortunate. But trying to figure out a way of talking about this without spoiling it. The end of the first episode was insanely awesome because I didn't know I wanted to do this, but I found myself fending off enemies next to an iconic character of the entire Star Wars series, and as I'm fending off these enemies with a lightsaber, and yes, the lightsaber is as cool as you would think it is. I'm just thinking, holy shit, I'm kind of fighting side by side by this very famous Star Wars character. It's really cool. Never thought that would have been a dream of mine, and after doing it, it's like, wow, now I think of it, that's something I always kind of wanted to do. So, thanks, ILM, I don't know what the company is that made this, ILM X Lab, something like that. It'll probably be up here when I'm editing. Yeah, but so the lightsaber was cool. One annoying thing, when you're out of combat, if you're not holding down a trigger, it just automatically flies back to your hip. Thankfully, when you're in combat, you don't have to hold down that trigger. It stays in your hand, which I really appreciate because that would not have worked for me if I had to constantly hold down the trigger to keep it in the hand. So, now, while the campaign was short, thankfully, the first episode comes with something called the Lightsaber Dojo. And so basically what this is, it's a wave-based, I would say almost a horde mode. And after you get each 5 levels, or something to that effect, you get unlocks, like a new crystal color for your lightsaber, a new hilt, stuff like that, new tips, things like that, and it gets progressively harder. And the Lightsaber Dojo does give you a sweat, so if you're looking at getting a game that makes you sweat in VR, Vader Immortal Episode 1 is going to be right up your alley. So, if you have a PlayStation VR headset, this is a must-get. I cannot stress this enough. The problems it has is not enough to deter you from getting this game. It's a must-buy for PlayStation VR, a killer app. If you're on the fence about PlayStation VR, but you're a huge Star Wars fan, this is now a third amazing Star Wars VR experience that you can get for the PlayStation VR. So, I'm Chris with 11 Hour Reviews, and I highly recommend you get this game because you get to be a Jedi. And that's all.